Hey guys, Ethan from Tag Mods here, and these builds are our Fangs for hire. With Far Cry 6 just around the corner, we've teamed up with Ubisoft and Aerocool to build 2 Fangs for hire that you guys can win. I've done my best to embody both Guapo and Chorizo into a PC. Let's dive into how we've done it. As always, let's start with the hardware. We're running the Aorus X570 Pro Wi-Fi motherboard, the AMD Ryzen 9 5900X, 16GB of the Nighthawk Team Group RAM, and the 512GB Liquid Carta SSD. We've got the 6800 XT from Gigabyte, and from Aerocool, we've got the Mirage L240, the Mirage 12 Pro fans, and the Aero Bronze 750W power supply. Both PCs are running the exact same hardware. The only exception is Guapo's built in the Aerocool Bionic, and Chorizo's built in the Aero 1. I grabbed these cheap kids tool belts from Bunnings, and we're going to use these as the base for Chorizo's pouches on the side of his little leg wagon. So I start by trying to weather them with some paint and fire, and it just didn't really get me anywhere close to the result I wanted. So I went and picked up some leather dye. I got them fully stained all over to get the nice dark leather colour we see from the screenshots in game. Then we jump over to the laser cutter to cut out our wagon wheels. I use some 25mm diameter pipe and the metal bandsaw to cut that down. These little chunks will be what we use to mount the wagon wheels to the rear end of the case using conduit clips. I use my trim router with a roundover bit on all the cutouts inside the wagon wheel just to make them round. Since I don't make thin rolls of duct tape, I had to make my own because the big bulky roll is just going to look weird in the finished product. So I used my bandsaw to score a line around the edge of where I wanted it and then roll that over the table saw without cutting my fingers off. The wagon wheels are sanded up to 320 grit and prepared for paint. For Guapo, I laser cut the novelty license plate and vinyl wrapped it. I then did the same thing to the side panel, vinyl wrapping it with the leather jacket pattern that Guapo wears. Obviously I couldn't leave this as a clean vinyl wrap, so I got a whole bunch of browns and lathered them over the entire panel before gently patting them off. As Guapo is a crocodile, he's going to go in and out of water, so I used water to splash over the jacket to make it look water stained as well as dirty. With the leather stain dry on Guapo's tool belts, I come in with a bunch of browns, oranges and black just to weather the entire thing. I picked up a spanner, shifter and screwdriver for Chorizo's toolkit, and to each of them I sprayed them with this brown spray paint before burning it on, because that'll give us a whole bunch of different browns at the same time while making it stick in random places. And then wipe that off and we get a nice quick rust effect. I strategically heat the number plate with the map gas torch to make it warp itself. So by heating the front, back and sides at different degrees, we can actually control how the plate warps. I then heat up a nail punch to add some little holes and blemishes in it. I do later set up the slug gun and shoot holes in it as well. After resin printing Chorizo's toy snake, I start with the base layer of green that'll become the body and underbill for the snake. I also get the wagon wheels all painted up. Since Chorizo's a dash end, we make sure some parts are brown and not just black, so we mask off the inner ring of the front panel and get brown on that, as well as painting the front feet of the case. With the wagon wheels all dry, I glue the outer rims on and hand paint the silver rings. Once it's all glued together, I can come back in and paint the entire external ring. Back over to Guapo. I paint the right hand side of the front panel the same gold as his tooth. We then need some wood grain. So I put wood grain on the power supply shroud as well as on the left hand side of the front panel so we can come back later and mount the crocodile skull. With most of the exterior mods done, I can start prepping the hardware, getting the SSD, CPU and RAM on the motherboards before getting them fitted in the cases. Before putting all the hardware in Chorizo, I pre-drilled the holes for the wagon wheels and used a conduit mount and some self-tapping screws to hold it all in place. I used my PO Polyphenum L to resin print the crocodile skull. After like a 35-hour print, I pulled it off and was able to peel off all the supports and get it ready for paint. To add in that realistic detail, I did a whole bunch of light brown washes and yellow washes across the teeth and the top of the skull. And with that, we're pretty much done. Let's dive into some B-roll.